you're dying. You're just doing things on the cuff, and then you're not planning effectively, and you're going to grab everything that goes over and bait you. And sometimes it might be a good bait, and sometimes it might be a bad bait. And then that's why we typically have regrets. We're human. It's going to happen. But I want to minimize my regrets by knowing my calling, my strategy, whatever plan I need to have to go over and to thrive.
Sure. Yeah. And, I see all the time, especially, new business owners, that they really didn't put together a good solid plan in the first place. They kind of are flying by the seat of their pants, going, all willy-nilly in trying to run a business and just hoping to get by, or, maybe just jump on the internet and Google something and, Google some forms, and that's good enough, as opposed to, seeking out a professional that could put something together for them. And, it just blows my mind, how many people are doing that, where they really should, take the time and be intentional and deliberate about it and put together something that's going to be, strong and be able to be tested.
Yeah, and that's difficult. And also you look at it fiscally, because, you go, if you do everything, so you have the entrepreneur spirit, because we're both part of the vetpreneur tribe. Yep. There's roughly 14,000 of us. Our military mindset is get her done, get her fixed, get things up and rolling, just keep grinding, perseverance. And when you see somebody like Andrew O'Brien or Grant Cardone or anybody else, you never see the back end on how many times they hit the wall and then finally got the plan. But as a low-end entrepreneur, you go over and you're like, how many things do I have to go pay for? Because sometimes you go and it's like, you can either follow Andrew's mentality or you can follow Dave Ramsey's mentality. They're two drastically different people in the sense of mentality. Mm-hmm. Andrew O'Brien and Grant Cardone are like, leverage debt, go over and try it first, work the processes, and then make the processes as you go. Dave Ramsey's like, save for this, wait for this, open up with this. And I think the entrepreneur inside of us goes over and regurgitates that, at least my style. So if you have more of your style, because I know personality styles, you seem to be more the methodical planner, and you rather go over and be like a Moses in a sense, and I'd rather ask a lot of the why questions so I can serve people well. I'm more like a Paul or a Peter, and I'm like, I'll just go out there and do it. And let's see what happens. And so is Andrew, and so is Grant Cardone. And you see those people become viral. And you don't see the people wisdom, like very few Dave Ramseys in the world that go in there and like, yeah, Warren Buffett's often, Dave Ramsey's awesome. You go think of Bill Gates and whatnot. Those are the guys with the think tanks and whatnot. But then you see the Facebook guy, and he's a billionaire. And he went over and said, I'm in the closet. I'm just typing up stuff. Magically, it happened. And we don't see the backstory, number one. And number two, those people are more prevalent in our society. So I think we mimic what society shows us. So I think that's why we don't plan with legacy. We need to have new people either step up to go over and show that legacy, or number two is to go over and have those people maybe share their ups and downs more often, so we could see, hey, it's good wisdom, because if this person did it and they're a billionaire, then I definitely need to do it as a thousandaire,
Sure. Yeah, totally agree with you there. So what would you say is maybe some of the most common reasons that entrepreneurs either fail or give up that you've seen?
Let's see. Several reasons why. Product-based businesses and food-based businesses, those are the ones I seen the most give up on, because they have the most potential, but they take so much upswing. You have to have patents, you got to have food licenses, you got to have rental space. Unfortunately, I met somebody that just had one of their businesses collapse, literally just about 2 weeks ago. Oh, and she didn't know her space. I tried to consult her as best I could in that realm. But the thing is that she did well in her realm of salons and spas and products. She jumped into something new. She's still, in a sense, a baby entrepreneur. She's still living in that there's employee, self-employee, business, big business, and investor. That's the Robert Kiyosaki model. Right. She wants to be investor level, but she's living in the sense of entrepreneur, employee or self-employee. And you can destroy yourself if you don't think of big businesses, systems, and products. It was a great idea, and it could thrive, but it didn't have the systems that are in there. And then you have to be prepared that it'd be better to do, like I really do like Andrew, 80% of the time. Like, hey, you go over and you do the work, but you don't go actually do the hard grind until you actually have people in the seats. Like like if I'm going to go put out a product or service, I'm not going to go put it out unless I get demand for it. And I think that's a lot of entrepreneurs go over and do. It's like, I need to go invest in this product. I got to get this retooled, rekeyed, and go over and build this canister or do this laser process. And we invest tens of thousands of dollars, and then we don't have an audience that wants it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what destroys us, is after so long we put so much work in. But that's what I did with my book. It was very simple. I advertised my book. All I did is a mock drawing for like $5.
Mm-hmm.
Put it on Facebook, started tagging people. If anybody wants to become an author, I can help them with that. But then when I see 10 people want to buy my book and they're paying me $25 a pop at my PayPal link, guess what? I have money in the hopper. Now I have a reason to go grind out and to go get it done.
Sure.
So it puts in a sense of confirmation of if you do it from a business plan and a strategy and you put that out there and then you test the water and then you get fruit of it, that's great. Then if not, because but my business is rare and unique in that regard, is that you can test. It's a lot easier to test the waters with mine. I can just go put a webinar out like I'm going to do like August 9th. I'll do a free webinar. I'll see who wants to jump on the Zoom and then go and offer a service. And it'll take me like an hour. That's it.
Yeah.
And I can get, and it's low cost for me and it's high yield if they go over and commit. Even if they bought a book, let's say 10% people bought the book, it's like what, $20 times 10. I made $200 for the evening, and I profited roughly about $390 times $5 times $550. I profited $150. So, but a lot of these entrepreneurs that we go over and see in the veteran and in the civilian space, they're usually doing something way bigger. So I think they would get more disappointed in that particular garden. And if you don't have that legacy mindset like you're talking about and looking at it 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the road, and you're looking for the quick seven-figure wonder as we're advertising, that would be my theory, speculated over the past 5 years. That's the reason why a lot of entrepreneurs go up, and then they go down in flames. So,
yep. And it's not really, not planning, for that long term is a huge one. Mm-hmm. So, what would you say maybe some specific roadblocks are that you've discovered from your experience that you'd warn people about?
If you're a veteran getting out of the service and you're trying to bring a business to civilians, you really need to learn your civilian market. I have a funny story for this. Now it's funny because it's 6 years later. I got out of the military in 2012. I thought God told me to go move down to Arkansas. Everybody said no, and I didn't listen to wisdom. That's another thing about legacy, is you have to listen to godly wisdom, spouse, business partners, ministry partners, whatever direction you're going. So I go over and I stubbornly, just like the soldier inside of me, we'll figure it out. So we got an opportunity to move to Arkansas, and the ministry I was going to connect with to do the same thing that my business does didn't pan out. I said, well, there's 3,000 churches down there. I'll just go hit doors down. You definitely don't hit doors down at churches, figuratively speaking, not literally. So people don't tell me I'm doing it. But I'm wearing combat boots, I'm wearing khaki pants, and I'm wearing a button-down shirt, going to sweet, sensitive secretaries going, I'm like, I can help out your marriage ministry and your church and everything else. This is who I am, and I want to go serve you. And they're like, okay. And then they walk off like this mentally, and they never call me back. And I hit 250 churches in 2 months. So I was pretty aggressive. I'm like, there's 3,000 churches, 2 to 3% sales funnel. I should be able to get enough to survive if I hit them all. Somebody will like me. But after 250, from excuses going over and saying like, okay, I'll pass the message along, to, oh, they'll yell at me over the phone because they think I'm a solicitor from some telemarketer and I never called them a day in my life, to going over and be like, even if you were Billy Graham or Grant Cardone or whoever, we wouldn't allow you in our church unless you're part of our denomination. Why do I have to convert to go over and help your church? Okay, that's a weird excuse. Yeah, so I would say that's number one. You got to learn the civilian culture, especially if you're going to work with the civilian culture. Mm-hmm. So decide what your brand is when getting out. I would not take your quote-unquote money transitioning out and then just go out full throttle unless you have a lot of money. If you have a year to 2 years of funds and you've stayed for a long time and you're transitioning out of a career or out of the military and whatnot, great. And then have a plan about at the halfway point of your finances and say, am I making profitable? Am I making ROI? And then you might need to go back to part-time or full-time work and make it a side hustle until you get out. For me, I did it until 6 weeks out. I'm like, Lord, I'm almost out of money. And I'm like, so I started looking for jobs. I go to the unemployment thing. They're like, yeah, you need to look for 3 jobs a week. I'm like, I applied at 20 before I came in the door. Do I meet qualifications? I'm just that type of guy. I hard charge. But even though I was applying 2 to 20 jobs a day, it still didn't pan out. It doesn't matter how many jobs you apply. It takes an average 6 to 9 months. So we almost went homeless. And it was God's providence that the VA money came in when we were almost broke. I got a job like literally a couple days later. My girl's disability money came in, and it was a scary season. So definitely, if you're going to do an entrepreneurial route, you got to have things set up for success. So it's better to do it as if you're transitioning out, and even though you might think you have this viral opportunity, wait until it gets viral so you can just leave your job. It's easier to quit than to go over and to get a job. It's so much easier to quit. And there's so many job opportunities out there. It's ridiculous. Like, if you needed to, or do a side hustle in between to go over and do it. Like, hey, if you're making 50% of the revenue, all right, figure out some systems and processes that can take over during the day, grind it out. Or maybe you might have a job that's flexible. There's a guy that's in our veterinary tribe, really awesome guy, and he's doing it fantastic. His name is Sean Douglas.
Yep.
He's active duty right now. He's building his speaking career. He's already making thousands of dollars a month coaching people. So when he gets out, he's already going to have a full ride and he can transition out. So that would be my recommendation to entrepreneurs. If you have the opportunity while you're in the job to grind it out until it becomes an abundance, that would be best. Because then you can afford those services because you can be sacrificial, of course, work with your wife and your kids if you have a family to make those sacrifices to go over and do that. Like I said, Sean's a great dad, husband, and father I've seen, and he's grinding it out, and the military is blessing him because of it. It's like, yeah, you can take off time to go do that $5,000 speech. Man, I wish I had that when I was active duty. I mean, so that would if I had to rewind myself and tell my entrepreneur self 5 years ago, I would be like, start doing it part-time now. Let it grind out to overtime. If you have to transition to a job for a season, do that. And then when it becomes an overflow, don't be fearful. Once you got the overflow and you got guidance from wherever wisdom you get from, then pull chalks, because it's so easy to quit. I'm leaving in 2 weeks. Bye. It's a simple, it's 2 sentences in an email. I'm quitting this job. Here's my end date. That's it.
Yep. So what particular support and resources would you recommend that a new entrepreneur look for?
It depends on what entrepreneur type they're going to be. So, I mean, if they're in services like me, they want to find like-minded, influential people as possible to go over and to look towards. So if I had to, say, reinvent myself, I would have found a spiritual accountability partner, and I would have found a business accountability partner, because sometimes they don't go hand in hand. So I would have both those people in there, and then to do your due diligence and research. Find the people that you want to grow up to be and see what they went over and did, and try to reverse engineer as much as possible. And sometimes you might get their ear. Like, I have an opportunity to talk to Dr. Robert Rome. He's my mentor in the sense of the business. He's been doing it for 20 years. I got an opportunity to talk to Dr. Gary Chapman for an hour a couple of years back. That was really awesome. And then I would continue to see if you can have somebody regularly do that. So if you can afford a mentor to walk into the process, that would be key. That would be key. And if it's a food-based business or more product-specific-based business, you definitely see if you can get with the SCORE group. They help mentor small businesses. Definitely, if you have a financial planner or someone that does business plans, to go over and say, to vet that process. If possible, I mean, $300 to $1,000 average, I've heard, to do a business plan. So, and it's worth its weight, because then it goes over, once you have a business plan, then you can go to banks and then get loans and grants and other things of that nature.
Sure.
Because if the business plan has gone over and proven worthwhile, then they will more likely do that. And the best thing for veterans is if you're over a 680 credit score, you can get I have to look at the site, but there's a veteran-based business loan that you can get, and it's unlimited as long as your business plan justifies it. So I'd have to do some research again. So a couple of people told me, but I don't want to take out loans myself because it is a service-based business. It takes a lot longer to build. It's building a brand. It's building a name. It's building a culture. So, but if you're a product-based business and you have the business plan and you have the 680 credit score, I just have to Google it again. But yeah, basically us as veterans to go over and do that. And usually if you have over, a 650 to 700 credit score in general, you can usually get a business